The K-pop industry has had some shocking scandals over the years, but most of them don't even come close to the vote manipulation scandals that got revealed. Producex 101. Everyone who watched the Produce series can tell that even if the show is marketed as a fair competition between the contestants, there's still some favoritism going on. The producers try to influence the viewers' preferences by other tactics, such as giving more screen time to some contestants and completely ignoring the others, or making some trainees look nicer while evil editing the others and making the public dislike them. Even though the producers assured the viewers and the public that trainees are going to get all treated fairly, it didn't happen. But it was no surprise since it's a standard practice for reality shows, but it turns out that preferences weren't the only thing that they were manipulating. After the show ended, viewers noticed some inconsistencies in the final votes of the show. More specifically, some of the rankings were multiples of 7,949. Mnet responded to the accusations and acted shocked at the claims that they might have rigged the final votes. They said, "It's even weird for us to confirm or deny rumors about rigging the votes from a live broadcast. We have no reason to manipulate the votes. We decided to not make an official statement because we feel that in itself will cause more issues." They did admit that while there were some errors in calculation, the final rankings were correct. Mnet also tried to hide the data in order to protect X1 and said that they had no intentions of changing the lineup, but it was proven unsuccessful as the issue only grew bigger and bigger. This led to Mnet inviting the police to look at all the inconsistencies. They'd regret their words not soon after, as their invitation blew up in their faces hilariously. The police concluded their investigation by finding evidence of definite vote manipulation as they uncovered voice recordings of Mnet staff members having a discussion about rigging the votes on the other seasons of the show. On October 1st, 2019, the Seoul Metropolitan Police Academy gave a confirmation that Mnet added the votes from the eliminated trainees to the total votes of the X1 members that ended up debuting. The vote manipulation affected 2 to 3 trainees that were in the top 11. There were also other instances of unfairness that were revealed, like how some staff members forced the song producers to give the trainees they favored more lines and more screen time. Someone even alleged that a certain trainee was informed about a mission in advance by one of the choreographers. It also turns out that only one offsite producer was in charge of counting the votes in a separate room, and the final results were sent to the others through text message. Yeah, not shady whatsoever. 2 of the Mnet producers that were involved in the rigging were arrested in 2019, and in 2020, they were found guilty of manipulating the final votes of some contestants. But Produce wasn't the only Mnet show that came under suspicion of manipulation. Idol School. If y'all thought that Producex 101 was rigged, wait until you hear about what they did with Idol School. When Mnet started getting investigated for vote manipulation, the police expanded their investigation to other Mnet survival shows in case there were any other instances of this. Though police didn't really have to intervene for the viewers to notice that something was up with the number of votes. For example, throughout the run of Idol School, Lee Hae-in was undoubtedly one of the most popular contestants. She was so popular that she ranked in the top 2 positions for several weeks. It started getting suspicious once her position suddenly dropped. Very dramatically at that. In episode 6, she ended up being a part of the top 9 ranking and was eliminated in the finale of the show. It's not very unnatural for contestants to drop in rankings, but how does someone that ranked first for so many weeks be eliminated by the last episode? Doesn't make sense whatsoever. Netizens were so angry over it that they made a petition so they'd find out the truth about her elimination. They had every right to be suspicious though. Hae-in came out and told a Donga Ilbo reporter, "The show initially promoted fairness, but in actuality, it manipulated many aspects of the competition throughout filming." She also said that 8 out of the 9 trainees that were set to debut from Promise 9 had signed contracts with CJ E&M before they even began shooting the show. She went on to say, "At first, I didn't know that when we began shooting, but after being on the show for more than 5 months, I found out because the trainees who signed with CJ E&M were telling the other contestants about their contracts." She also said that she was one of the 4 trainees that actually had to audition, and even though the show's producer had told her that she was too well known to audition, she still should since it would be too suspicious if she didn't. The rigging was much bigger than this though. A report said, "In a survival-style music show that is selecting girl group members from episodes 2 to 11, the rankings were manipulated 233 times in total." Yes, a total of 233 times. Not only that, but there were 10 trainees who were eliminated even though they didn't deserve to be. The report went on, "When the 4th eliminations were announced, 10 trainees who were subject to elimination remained in the competition, while 10 trainees who were supposed to stay in the competition were unfairly eliminated." The scandal went down in history as one of the worst in the K-pop industry, and it ended up hurting not only Hae-in, but the girls that debuted from Promise 9 too. It was really bad for everyone. Mma Manipulation. There are too many instances of this for me to talk about every single one individually, but I will talk about Mnet's grudge against SM Entertainment and their artists. This started back in 2009 when SNSD was topping every music chart with G, so people automatically assumed assumed that the song would win the Song of the Year award at the Mnet Asian Music Awards, yet 21 ended up getting the award for I Don't Care. Now, don't get me wrong, I Don't Care is still a timeless hit, but based on all the numbers, G had that award in the bag. But back in 2009, there wasn't as much outrage about the rigging as later on, so it didn't become a big deal. Then in 2015, the same thing happened, but now with Exo and Big Bang. In 2015, EXO's noticed EXO's votes decreasing rapidly while Big Bang's is increased. The process for Chinese fans to vote was also a bit more difficult, as voting for EXO required putting a verification code, which didn't happen for other artists. The numbers just weren't adding up. In response to these accusations, Mnet had said, "You think that 1,000 votes in 1 minute are a lot, but the whole world is voting for this, and there are more than 1 million votes per day. 1,000 votes in 1 minute is not a lot. Also, Big Bang is a big group and they have a big fandom. If they vote together at a similar time, it's possible." As for the response, a netizen commented, "How does it make sense that they can only vote for once in 3 to 4 hours? They say it takes time because of the code verification. This is honestly so unfair. I don't care if other singers also require code verification, but EXO is the only one." Another said, "Wow, EXOs must be so mad. I still remember what VIP said when there were manipulation posts. You thought you wouldn't lose with the votes. Are you mad because you're actually losing?" Though none of this was as bad as the vote manipulation that happened at MAMA 2017. EXO was leading with votes in 5 fan-voted categories out of all 19 categories they were nominated in, and do you know how many awards they ended up winning? Just one. Literally only one award. MAMA treated EXO so badly that they never attended the show again. Good for them, honestly. Music Bank vote manipulation. This one is pretty recent, so you might have heard about it already. Back on May 13th of 2022, Le Sserafim were crowned as the winners of that week's Music Bank. They beat Lee Myung-won's If We Ever Meet Again by 846 points. Considering how much of a chart monster he is, some raised suspicions about the legitimacy of those votes and accused KBS of rigging the scoring system in Le Sserafim's favor. To these accusations, KBS responded with, "The scoring system has 5 categories: digital streaming scores, which accounts for 60%, TV/radio broadcast scores, accounting for 20%, viewer preference scores, accounting for 10%, album sales, accounting for 5%, and social media scores, accounting for 5%. Then Dispatch came out with an investigation of their own, proving that KBS were actually lying or at least trying to hide the facts, or both in this case. Dispatch pointed out that even though KBS claimed If We Ever Meet Again was never played in their radio shows, Dispatch found proof of the opposite. After that, KBS started deleting Lee Myung-won's songs from all the radio playlists that are listed on their official website. Luckily, Dispatch caught on to this and came through with the receipts. They said, "Could it be that on May 18th, KBS realized that the song was in fact played? Did KBS try to delete evidence on the dawn of May 19th, which led to KBS fearing a backlash in the early of May 19th, and so is that why they brought back the playlist in the morning of May 19th? When the investigation came out, KBS tried explaining what had happened, but the public wasn't convinced. In fact, they didn't believe KBS to the point that a netizen filed a complaint with the Core Communication Standards Commission and the National Police Agency and asked for an investigation. Yeah, it was that deep. The investigation hasn't concluded yet, so make sure to stay tuned in for any updates. Which one do you think was the biggest vote manipulation scandal in K-pop? Share your thoughts in the comments and see you next time. Bye!